Hey, shalom Israel, shalom everyone. I hope your day is going all right. As you happen to seen in the title of this video, I actually titled it on the beginning of creation. I'm going to be going over the creation story according to the Bible, showing you that there is in fact science in the scriptures, showing you that there is in fact astronomy as it pertains towards what we're about to read. So I'm going to be sharing on my screen here the book of Genesis, the first chapter in verse 1. So you can be able to follow along and see for yourself as I read the scripture as it pertains towards what we are going to be diving into. All right. So bear with me. I'm going to bring it up on the screen right here for you. So I'm going to be reading Genesis, the first chapter in verse 1 right here. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Verse 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So in the very beginning, there was nothing in existence prior towards God and his son, Jesus Christ, as the world knows him to be. It was just only them two in existence and nothing else. It was just nothing but total complete darkness. For that, you can read John, the first chapter for that. Now here in verse 2, as I just read, as far as for where it says, and the earth was without form and void, meaning that it didn't have no shape, it didn't have no form. And notice too, it didn't say that the earth was flat, for the flat earthers out there in the world. But I can show you in the scripture where the Lord, after when he finished creating the earth, as far as for what shape it actually was. You can take note of this. You can write this down in your notebook. This is going to be the book of Isaiah, the 40th chapter, Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 22. And it reads, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof as grasshoppers. All right, so you can have that in your notes as far as for just knowing exactly what shape the earth actually is. The earth is a sphere, is a circle. So these are different things to know as far as for the scripture and as far as for how God created everything in existence as it pertains towards what we're going to continue to keep reading on. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. I'm going to scroll on down to verse 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, this light that I'm speaking about here is very scientific. This is speaking about the Earth's core, which gives light upon the Earth that you can better see from space, which is the Earth ozone layer that gives it that glow. Okay, verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So these different lights that God is creating in existence, the sun, the stars, and so on and so forth, is what's separating itself from the darkness, what there was in the very beginning. Verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So the first day God created the earth. He created it on the earth ozone, on the earth's core. He's basically just was creating everything that was pertaining towards the earth on the first day. I'm going to read verse. I'm going to read verse 6. I'm going to scroll on down. Verse 6 reads, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Now, a lot of people may know or maybe asking, well, what is a firmament? Sometimes if you don't know a certain term, you can be able to read the following scriptures in which I am going to continue to keep reading. But for right now, if you may not happen to know a certain terminology, it's always good to have a Bible concordance or even a Bible dictionary as well. One Bible dictionary that I would recommend is the Zollman Bible Dictionary. It's the Zollman Compact Bible Dictionary that you can get online on Amazon or eBay. You can get it for a real good price. It's not that expensive. And it is a good tool to use, especially when reading the Bible. All right. So I'm going to share on my screen with you right here as far as for the concordance from the Blue Letter Bible that I use personally. Allow me to share it to my screen so you can be able to see it as well. So this is Strong's H7549, or the word firmament. It says surface solid or vault or heaven supporting waters above, considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting waters above. So firmament is just another terminology for the word heaven. Now keep in mind there are different realms of heaven, and there are four firmaments according to the Bible. The first firmament, the first heaven, is the land in which we walk upon the earth on. The second firmament, the second heaven, is the sky where you see planes fly, birds fly. The third heaven, the third firmament, is speaking about space as it pertains towards the location of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and other planets such as Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. The fourth firmament, the fourth heaven, is the location where God sits on his throne along with the angels that surrounds him. So the Bible is going to go into that as far as for the other firmaments in its proper location. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the scripture back at hand. I'm going to put it back on the screen for you. Bear with me. So we are going to be reading from where we left off at verse 7. I'm going to finish. And God made the firmament. Verse 6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Verse 7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. These are the different heavens that God is bringing forth into creation right now. And it was so. Allow me to scroll on down to verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven. See, that's exactly what I said earlier in the second of this video, as far as if there's a certain term or if there's a certain scripture that you may not understand, it's always good to start either at the very beginning of the scripture. It's always good to start at the very beginning of the chapter in which you're reading, then read on down to where you were reading at, or either read where you currently are reading at in the scripture in which you're reading, and then flow your way on down, and then you will find the answer or find either the definition or what you're reading about. But it's always good to have a Bible dictionary, and it's always good to have a Bible concordance, just so you can be able to help yourself understand certain terminology that you may not know. Okay. So I'm going to continue to keep reading at hand. I am at verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. So keep in mind, according to the Bible, God called the dry land earth. The term earth didn't came from man, as far as for naming this large landmass which we're living on. The Bible called this land that we're living on earth. All right. So just so you know that, as far as for in this place, I'm going to continue to keep reading. And the gathering, and I'm actually in the middle of verse 10. And the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. Verse 11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and a fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So now at this point, God is starting to create trees that is bringing forth herbs. These are different herbs that a lot of pharmaceutical use for medicine, for patients. These are herbs that we even use for food, such as turmeric and things like so forth. Okay. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Verse 13. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the light from the day. So this is speaking about, and is going into how God is going to create The sun and the stars is what divides the light, which is what divides the day from the night. During the day, we had the sun, and at night, we had the moon. You know, and as we continue to keep reading throughout the scripture, it's going to give a little bit more in specific detail about that. Verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. Before we have modern day calendars today, in which we wake up in the morning to know what specific day it is, either if it happened to be the 14th or the first day of the month. Before we even had the luxury of having calendars, at the very beginning, in order for us to know what seasons and what time periods we were in, we had to read the stars. We had to know what time of the day it was, and by looking at which direction the sun was in. Because at the very beginning of the day, the sun always rises in the east, which lets you know that that's the very beginning and start of the day, and it sets in the west, which lets you know that the day is just starting to get over with. As it pertains towards the moon, if there happens to be a new moon, it lets you know that that's a new month. So this is what the scripture is speaking about as far as for knowing the days and the seasons in its times. Okay. Verse 15, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 16, and God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. That greater light that's ruling the day, in which the scripture is speaking about the sun, which gives light upon the day, and the lesser light that rules the night is speaking about the moon. He made the stars also, verse 17, and God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, verse 18, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Verse 19, and the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Verse 20, and God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So what the Most High God is doing now is that he's creating life both in the water, in the seas, and the ocean, and he's also creating life that is in the open firmament. The open firmament is what I said earlier, which is the second heaven, where the birds fly. We have eagles that fly. We have planes that we see every day that fly, that we tend to get on to travel. Okay, so at verse 21, as I bring it back on the screen right here, it reads, and God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw that it was good. So what is very important when you're reading about the scripture here in particular is that you're going to pay attention to the context. The context here in the scripture that you're going to pay attention to is where it says after their kind, meaning that there are different species of winged fowl creatures that God is making, different species of fishes that God is creating. Like you have a species of hawks, you have a species of falcons, you have a species of eagles, and these are all winged fowl creatures that God is creating right here in the scripture in which we are reading about right now. I'm going to scroll on down to verse 22. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Verse 23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. So now we're speaking about here in verse 24, where God is creating bugs. He's creating the beasts of the earth, which would be the bear, the lion. You have the cheetah. You have different animals that you would see in the safari. All right. And also in the jungle as well. Okay. I'm going to scroll on down to verse 25. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. All right, so now this here in verse 26 is speaking about how God and the angels is speaking about the creation of man. All right, and this is also on the 6th day as well. This is Christ and the angels. Christ and the angels is basically just making man in their own image. All right, and after their own likeness, as far as for having dominion, having rulership over these different species of animals and bugs that exist that God created for us to be able to have rulership and dominion over. All right. I'm going to scroll on down to verse 27. And it says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Now notice here in this scripture it says male and female. It doesn't say man and woman. So right here in the scripture, it's basically just proving that Adam and Eve isn't nowhere mentioned here, but it is mentioned that there is in fact other people besides Adam and Eve, in which I am going to be having in another video segment pertaining towards proof that Adam and Eve were not the only people that was on the earth, that they wasn't the first people that God created. All right, so it says male and female, meaning that it's not speaking about man and woman. It's not speaking about Adam and Eve. This is speaking about how God is creating both the male and female species. All right, so I'm going to bring this back on the screen for you right here. It says in the image, verse 28, I'm sorry. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now notice it says to you shall be for meat, meaning to you shall be for medicine. A lot of the things that God created, these are some of the things that a lot of people tend to abuse, that God has brought forth into the earth for our health benefits and for our benefit in general. These are some things that can be pertaining towards marijuana, shrooms, heroin. These are all things that derive from plants, and these are these are what God says that this is for our meat, meaning not just only for food, but also for medicine that a lot of pharmaceutical use and doctors use to treat patients in hospitals. And these are things that a lot of people abuse because we tend to not have the knowledge as far as what these things are really intended for. So this take note of that as far as for the purpose of why God created these things here, which is for health benefits. Okay. I'm going to read verse 30. Verse 30 says, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, ran there's life. I had given every green herb for meat, and it was so. So God is saying that these things that He created these different herbs for health benefits, for our well-being. Okay. I'm going to scroll on down to verse 31. And God saw everything that He had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. So Genesis, the first chapter, is basically just speaking about how God created everything in existence, the sun, the moon, the stars, as far as how he created the different firmaments, which are the different realms of heaven. And God is making these things into existence because he wants life to be in its proper place and in its proper order. And God is creating man to have dominion over these different things in which God has created and manifested in the earth. So if you happen to find this video very educational and very eye-opening for you, as far as for learning something new, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos in which I'll be bringing out literature and even scriptures pertaining towards different topics in which I'm going to be bringing out real soon. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Please follow us on AskBK.com and support the priests and prophets of the Lord as we continue to keep pushing the truth and knowledge of the Bible for what it's speaking about. Shalom.